this comic is now on my top 10 comics that I've ever read. Which isn't a lot, because I don't even think I've read 10 comic series all the way through, but it doesn't matter. I think that this takes 4th place on that list. Right behind Unfamiliar, which I'll talk about in another video. If I remember. This comic is Castoff, a webcomic about. This comic is Castoff, a webcomic by Starfish Face. By the Starfish Face, started back in 2015, and according to the author, we aren't even halfway through with it yet. Because of how long ago it started, you get to see a very nice progression of the author's art and skill throughout the comic. You can also see that in mine, although that might actually be because I did the entire 7 pages of the first scene in one day without any planning before, other than just a few little pick crew headshots of the characters. Don't do that. It is not a good idea. Anyway, Castoff. I'm not going to go into the entire series, as there are 11 chapters released right now, and I won't really tell you about any of the lore, because I really do want you to read it, because I am not going to dissect this entire roller coaster. I will only be covering the prologue, the first chapter, and the second chapter. So we're gonna have 3 little sections of this video, and that's all that we're going to be doing. And, you don't have to have read up on that yet, but I do think that you should after I tell you. Prologue. I don't really understand the prologue yet. It's very confusing. We're like in tower, and there are like these cloaked guys who are doing a ritual of some kind. And it on some like poor guy, and it explodes into a bunch of beams of light that go in different directions. There is 6 beams of light for every color of the rainbow, and they fly into different parts of the country. And then now we see a poor house being struck by one of the beams, the orange one. And that's the prologue. It has yet to be explained aside from theories by the readers, but I do have a feeling that it might be about to be explained in chapter 12. But I haven't read, and chapter 12 isn't fully out yet, so I don't know. Anyway, chapter 1. We're introduced to a bookshop owner and her adopted son. I don't really care to remember the mom's name, because I don't care. The thing about Vector is that he is clearly not human. Look at this boy. He's not human at all. He has pointy ears and, bright, glowing eyes for some reason. What do you think about that? Thank you for your input. Anyway, but the owner leaves Vector alone, and Vector is sad. He finds a book that he hasn't seen yet, which is strange because he lives in the bookshop. And someone enters the shop. Vector is absolutely terrified until she yells at him, and Vector asks why she's afraid of him. He doesn't answer when she asks what the fuck that means, but she helps him out. But she helps him off the floor and reveals that her name is Ariana. Then the 2 touch hands. However, Vector's hand starts glowing. Spooky. I don't know what that's about. I really don't, actually. I don't know what that's about yet. I don't know what that's about. I've read the entire comic up to now, and I don't know what that's about. However, anyway, Ariana is here to get a book, and she reveals that she has an amulet that gives her magic powers. And this is the accepted magic system throughout the entire comic. Of course, there is more to that magic system that will be explained later, but I'm not going to explain any of that to you right now. I do think that it's explained pretty well in, like, gradually, as we kind of need to have it explained. But now, the owner comes home and is extremely upset. and scared that Ariana is talking to Vector at all, and gets her out of there as fast as possible. Vector gets scolded and expresses a very big feeling of being left out, considering he's at home all of the time and not allowed to be outside. Vector hates being stuck inside because of the strange, unnamed affliction that everybody seems to make everybody afraid of him. He runs back to his room and has a coin I completely forgot about. The owner comes back in and apologizes, but then we cut to Ariana finding a wanted poster. While reading in bed, Vector hears a noise and goes out to check it. And he finds that the owner is already asleep, and that Ariana is at the door, looking quite upset. She throws him around with her magic for a little bit and asks about the wanted poster, one that is eerily similar to Vector. Before she can get any answers out of him, the owner comes in and finds them, to which Ariana knocks both of them out so that they don't have to interfere. And that's chapter 1. With Ariana knocking out Vector. Whoop! Chapter 2. This chapter starts with Vector waking up in a red box that is being dragged by Ariana in a wagon, I think. Vector protests but hurts himself in the process, and Ariana brings him to the capital. However, when people look into his eyes, they become terrified. And as they're dragging him away, they are convinced that he is extremely dangerous. Ariana is informed that they plan to kill him. This upsets her, but before she can really do anything about it, Vector starts to panic. Obviously, Ariana leaves, and Vector is so upset by the entire thing that his body starts to glow. The power of the light from him, it acts as a shield against all of the magic and weapons that everybody is using against him as well. So, it's just, whoa, and fueled by fear, but it also makes them all afraid, so they want to kill him even more now. Ariana takes this chance to go into the building to attempt to find someone. But upon seeing how much damage Vector is doing, she comes back to his side and tries to help him. She makes her way through the power surge and grabs him. The light then spreads across her hand, and Ariana asks what he is. Then the two disappear, and Vector wakes up to voices. Ariana is talking to someone through her amulet, thing that apparently they can do. The two have landed in the middle of a forest, and Ariana has no idea where they are. Vector runs away at this first chance and is attacked by a wolf. Ariana saves him, but rightfully so, Vector isn't too easily swayed about trusting her. Vector has never been outside of his house, and aside from something the shop owner called last time. So he is very confused by the concept of the forest. Ariana tells him what happened, and he is terrified of his own powers and how little control he has. And especially since he doesn't remember anything happening apart from the light emitting from him the first time. Vector is still skeptical even after Ariana tries to comfort him, so she tries to leave. Vector, not wanting to be alone in the middle of the woods, follows her, and the chapter ends with the two of them agreeing to stick together despite the circumstances. So, this is our setup. I'm not going to tell you anything else because I really want you to go check it out for yourself. As I said, we are only about halfway through the series, and the first volume is actually going to be published sometime this year. The Kickstarter campaign is being started soon, according to the author. I don't really know when, obviously, I'm not them. But it's going to have there are 25 chapters planned for Castoff, and we are only on chapter 11. Well, we're starting chapter 12. So we're only on chapter 12 out of 25, which gives you a lot more to read, to look forward to after you binge the first half of the series. It's just anyway, my final rating. So, I do think the story is a bit confusing at the moment, but maybe I'm just stupid. And the art is pretty messy at the beginning, but it gets a lot better as the movie goes on, and the characters are good, and the magic system makes sense. So I'm gonna give Castoff a 9 out of 10. Go read it, but seriously, I didn't do any of the emotional scenes justice, as I want you to go experience them yourself. Anyway, I'm gonna go cry.